Hello and welcome to section 5, in which we will be using Python for daily tasks. We will be searching our hard drive directories. We will be replacing words within modules. We will be looking into administration tasks. And in the end, we will look into Python using for automation. In this first video, we will be searching directories. We will be searching our own hard drive. In order to do so, we will be using the OS module. We'll be finding out our current working directory. We'll be moving up to the parent directory. We'll be using OS walk to walk the entire directory tree structure. And we will be saving all folders and files in lists. The Python programming language is excellent for searching directories. And a lot of its power resides in the OS module. So let's import OS. That's what we do here. With it, we can get the current working directory. That's using os.getcwd. That's the current working directory. And we can also get the directory in which our current file, our Python module resides in. We do this with os.parse.dirname and then passing in the _file _name. And when we run it, when we run the code, we can see the current working directory is, in my case here, this parse. And where our module is, our Python module, it's the same parse. And that's to be expected. So whenever we run a Python module, Python makes where our module is running from, it makes this the current working directory. So our current working directory and where our file, our Python module reside are the same. Now, why do we need to know anything about a current working directory? What's that good for? Well, it can make our life easier because instead of hard coding a path for searching directories, we can start from a known place. And this known place is the current working directory. So hard coding paths is never a good idea because those things change. So here we get the current working directory and we get the module directory. And then we use os par there, so that gets, we use os change there and os par there. So we are changing the current working directory to the parent directory, and then we call get current working directory again. So when we run this, first what we're getting is as before, we're in section 5, we move one level up to the parent directory, and now we are one level up. We are our working directory, our current working directory is now one level up from the place where our Python module resides in. Let's say we want to know what files and folders reside up there one level up. So what we can do also is we can use os parse split, passing in the model directory, and we get back a tuple, and the first part of the tuple is the full parse, and the second part is the current folder. So when we run this code, we're getting back in the full parse variable, we're getting back the full parse up to the current folder, and in the current folder we get section 5. So this is a way to split this out, and that's quite useful. So os parse split lets you split folder parses. Now that we know how to get our current working directory and how to change it, how we can move up and down the directory tree structure, we can start searching for folders and files. And we do this using os walk. That's a very powerful method. It's great. And walk expects a searching start directory. So we know how to do that. We can get the current working directory. In this case, we go up one level here to the parent directory, get the current working directory, make this our starting directory. And what we get back here is when we run it, we see when we run this os walk, the call to os walk returns a generator object. We've seen generators in previous videos, so we know what to do with them. So what we can do, one thing we can do is we can pass in the os walk call to next, and this will walk through everything, and then we print it out. So let's run this, And what we are getting back here is, first I'm still printing out this start search directory. So that's this position here, this directory. And then what we're getting back is, first we're getting back this guy here, which is a tuple. And the first part of the tuple is a starting directory, the root of the search. This is the same as our search start dir, which is why I printed that out first. So there's a tuple here, parenthesis. First line is the root element where we started running from. Well, just a moment. And then the second line here is a list, and it might not be very obvious what we are getting back, because in the beginning here of the list we have this dot settings, and then the next one is another list here, dot project. Those are settings files for Eclipse. I'm using Eclipse, but if you ignore that, you can see we get section 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So these are the folders, and we are currently in our root directory, which ends in Python by example. And so these are the folders, sections 1 through 5, and there are no files. There are no files in this particular directory. So that's what we are getting back here, a tuple with folders and the files that reside within it. So we're not really interested in all those dot files, so let's start our search from our current working directory for our module lists. That might be more interesting. So when we run this, what we're getting back now is a whole bunch, a lot of files. All these .py files are in this folder, but in this case the only folders we have are, well, that comes later. We have these 3 folders and a lot of files. So you can see we're using OSWalk. Depending where we start searching from, we get different results, of course. But if you get something unexpected, like you don't get what you expect to see, you might want to make sure which is your start searching directory, so what you're passing into OSWalk here. Now, while calling next on the iterator, or while on the generator, it's more typical with USWalk to create some lists outside of the for loop and then use a for loop. So the first part we are getting back from OSWalk, and the first part of the tuple is the current directory, and once we are walking down the directory tree structure, this will change. And for the current directory, we get the subdirectories, the subfolders, and all files within that folder. So we're walking through just with this one called OSWalk, and we can print out the current directory. We append the current directory to dirs. We append the current directory to our dirs list, and then we loop through all the files within that directory and append the current file into our files list. And when we run this, we get back all of this here, a whole bunch of results, because we're walking the entire root directory of my course here. So we get current directory, current directory, current files, and so on. And here we save them. In the bottom we have everything in a list. So we have the directories in the first list, and then we have the files in the second list. Now we're still getting back a lot of files that start with dot. That's not very interesting. We want to ignore those. So whatever directory folder starts with a dot, we'll just continue our walk. And if a file starts with a dot, we also continue the loop. So we can do both. We are using OSWalk within the for search. We just ignore everything that has a dot in the beginning. So when we run this code now, it's much cleaner, it's much more visible. That's what we really want. We really want only the directories, no dot, and the files, no dot. And again, we are saving the results in 2 lists. One has all the directories and the other has all the folders within those directories. Now, if we want to know how many files and how many folders we have from our search starting directory, we can just call len on our 2 lists where we saved everything in. So when we run the same code, but this time we add len dirs, len files, we can see the number of directories is 14 from this starting position here, which is the current working directory where the module resides in. and we have 294 files in those 14 directories. So you can see OS walk is very powerful. When we put that into this for loop, it gives us everything. You can start from the C drive, you get every single folder and file on your entire hard drive. So I'm not doing that here, but as you just change the search starting dir variable here, and depending upon what you pass in here, you get everything. In this video, we looked into the powerful capabilities Python provides us for searching directories. First, we found the current working directory, and then we saw how we can walk up to the parent directory and so on. And with that knowledge, we started searching and walking entire directory tree structures using OS walk.